been a couple of weeks since we last raced, and Henry's away. He's in France sailing on a giant multi-hull, the Ultime class. So I'm taking the boat to the mainland to get measured. They'll weigh it, take loads of measurements, and from that determine our rating, our handicap for the year. When we get there, we're going to make sure everything that is removable is off the boat, and then they'll weigh the boat. They'll take all the geometry measurements, and they'll also make sure, you know, how it sits. They want to know if we're bow down or stern down. So a lot of measurements today, and then from that will determine our rating for the year. We sail under a handicap called IRC, and so they take everything into account. They take weight, sail area, ballast, all those things, and feed it into an algorithm, a formula, so we can all race against each other. So it's quite complicated, but yeah, I'm relieved we haven't put on weight. We're in the ballpark.
So we've had a bit of trouble with our water ballast system, which is effectively enables us to take on about 2 or 3 crewmates in water volume, but it's not often you choose to put 2 holes into your boat, and it's all fine as long as it's going into an enclosed tank. But the pipe work that takes the water into the tank has been leaking, and so it's been a bit of an issue for us. If this unit failed, we'd be in a lot of trouble, so it's good to service it and make sure that it's working properly.
There hasn't been really any time to go sailing since the last race. We've both been busy. Henry's been in France, but there's been lots going on in the boat. So we're going to go out, and we've a ton of stuff to check works and it's in the right place, and we know what's going on. So yeah, there's a big checklist. So we're gonna check the rigs where we want it, and we're happy with it. The rudder system as well needs to be checked. Some of the hardware on the downwind sails, and also the ongoing issues with the ballast system. So plenty to do. Well, we're getting through the list. We've had a look at the main, we've been looking at the rig. We're now fiddling about with the rudder system. Henry's somewhere under there, trying to see if it's working. So we're getting there. It's going well.
So there's 6 or 7 3300s, the same boat as us, but we all rate slightly differently, and that's down to different sail sizes, to the different systems you have on board, whether you have water ballast and things like that, which means we can all race fairly against each other, but make your own choices about what sails and what systems you have on board. And so while the boats are kind of, when you look at them from afar, identical, there are very subtle differences between them. And it's not a game that IRC rating is what it's called. It's not a game that Shirley or I have really played before, so we're kind of learning as we go about what works and what doesn't.
The reality is, if you haven't made the right choices on IRC, then you won't win the race. But on top of that, I mean, we've generally found lots of the boats are pretty close, so you also have to sail well, but fundamentally, you have to have made the right decisions around the IRC rule.
So this race is a good length offshore actually. We start here in Cowes in the Solent,
and head west towards Plymouth and a lighthouse just off Plymouth called Eddystone. So we round that and sail straight back. So it's a long offshore. This will be 2 nights for us, and the most important thing is that it's the Fastnet course all the way up to Plymouth. So you know, we've moded the boat, and all the choices we've made with everything on board is for the Fastnet Race. So yeah, it's the one we want to do well in for sure.
If we don't do well in this race, we'll have to have a bit of a rethink the Fastnet and what decisions we make, what kit we use, and how we mode the boat. So definitely it's a line in the sand this weekend.
So it's nearly sunset, about 20 minutes to go. It's been tricky all day, and we think it's going to be a pretty tricky night. It's really light. There is meant to be a change in the wind direction and hopefully a little bit more pressure, but we're not sure when or where first. So yeah, it's going to be kind of make or break night, making the right decisions at the right time, and I suspect not much rest.
It's a bit of a disappointing night, but yeah, still all to play for. A long way to get back. We're not even at Eddystone yet. Still 3 hours probably, but we're now fast up the spinnaker to get there. And yeah, at one stage it was looking quite bad, but we've kind of managed to pull it back, and hopefully we'll round Eddystone within 2 or 3 miles as the leaders. So all to chase on the way home.
Just gone round the Eddystone Lighthouse, which is our only turning mark, and we're heading for home. But looking at the forecast, there's a lot going on today, so yeah, we're gonna stay on it.
This will be the windiest part of the race here now. We've got wind over tide, so we're going upwind with about 1 or 2 knots of tide underneath us, so it's a little bit bumpy, adding a bit more wind strength. But we seem to be making some nice gains on the guys in front, so just keep working hard, chipping away, and hopefully around Portland area there'll be an opportunity for us.
So second night's been quite tricky. We've been absolutely in amongst it with our main competitors. So some good and some bad, really difficult to predict. But anyway, we're 10 miles from the finish. It's 4 in the morning, the sun's just about to come up, and yeah, we're still fighting hard.